up, Squarepants? Battle for Bikini Bottom. Holy crap. I don't know what it is with this game. Maybe it's the fact that I find it one of the greatest games of all time. Maybe it's the fact that I played in my childhood. And maybe it's probably the fact that it's my first game I've ever played. I don't know what it is. This game is just... oh my gosh. If you couldn't tell already, it's a Spongebob game. And it's a good one. Yes, a good licensed game. When does that ever happen? And because I'm saying all of these great things about the game, I should probably just get started with the review, shouldn't I? So here we go. As how the show goes, Plankton wants to steal the Krabby Patty formula, so he builds the Duplicatotron 5000 to create robots. The only problem is that he forgets to set the machine to obey Plankton, and the robots start raging havoc. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Patrick are playing a game called Robots and Racehorses. SpongeBob wishes that he wants robots to come true. Patrick says that this is possible with his magic conch shell. Wishing shell, that's what it was. They say the magic wishing word, which is okay, because this game is hilarious. And then they both go to sleep, and then they wake up the next morning to find robots everywhere. When SpongeBob thinks it's his fault, he has to go around and save Bikini Bottom. As you progress through the game, you have to go through areas which take places in areas from the show, such as Jellyfish Fields, Goo Lagoon, and Rock Bottom. Each of these areas you have to collect golden spatulas. The more golden spatulas, the more areas you can collect. Never explain why you have to collect golden spatulas though, so don't ask me. As you can probably tell already, this game is an open platformer, so that means it takes inspiration, I'd say, from both Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, and other games like that. Especially since each major course contains 8 golden spatulas and 1 main objective, you've got a lot to do in this game, and it's really fun. Golden spatulas are also the only thing you have to collect. There's also the main currency around the game, which is the shiny objects. The shiny objects mainly open areas that will reach you, open new areas or at least progress you farther into the level, or you can pay them to Mr. Krabs, and Mr. Krabs will give you more golden spatulas for them. As well as collecting golden spatulas and shiny objects, there's also Patrick's socks. Patrick explains that apparently the robots have taken basically all of Patrick's sock collection, and you have to collect them. Once you find 10 socks, then you can deliver them back to Patrick and he will give you a golden spatula. This keeps progressing for about 8 times, meaning that there's a total of 80 socks in this game. The main hub of this game is obviously Bikini Bottom. In Bikini Bottom, there's 3 sections. Each section has to be accessed by defeating the main boss. But enough of that. Each section contains 3 levels containing golden spatulas and then the boss course. Once you defeat the boss, you can access the next section of Bikini Bottom. It's as simple as that. You can also find golden spatulas in Bikini Bottom and find golden pairs of underwear. Golden pairs of underwear increase your health once you find them. Both are only 3 in the game, and they're all found in Bikini Bottom in each section. This game has 3 playable characters, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. Each character is well balanced and have their own pros and cons, let's say. SpongeBob has more moves than everybody else, as well as being playable in every area of the game. However, he cannot throw things like Patrick can, or have a triple jump like Sandy. Patrick is playable in some areas of the game and can throw objects and stun enemies, however he cannot attack in the air. Finally, Sandy is playable in the more dangerous areas of the game and has a triple jump and a lasso attack, meaning that Sandy can stay in the air for a longer time. However, she lacks the ability to press any buttons on the ground for whatever freaking reason. A nice thing that this game kind of has is that whenever you encounter a new enemy, most of the time these enemies will have their own cutscene demonstrating how the enemy will go, as well as the fact that the more dangerous enemies can be found in the more dangerous areas, such as Slick, for example. Not only do all of the enemies have cutscenes, but as well as every boss has cutscenes, which demonstrate how they would probably attack. It kind of just makes a joke about it, and then the battle starts. Speaking of the bosses have an interesting mechanic as similar to Mario 64. Smaller bosses can be found inside the main levels, yet the big bosses are found in the Bowser courses, or basically the main boss courses. Except, unlike 64, each boss has a total of 3 forms, where in the second form you would switch to a different character in order to take them on, and then back to Spongebob for the third form. This does not apply to the final boss for whatever reason, because it needs to be dramatic. On a side note, as I previously mentioned, this game is hilarious. It's basically one of the funniest games I have probably ever played. Not only are there millions of references to the show, but there's also the fact that each character's dialogue is just basically hilarious. From Squidward being annoyed to Barnacle Boy being annoyed and Plankton being annoyed. It's basically this whole game, actually. But it's hilarious! Another cool feature that this game has are its slides. Similar to Mario 64, like basically the rest of the entire game is, there are slides for you to slide down stuff. Some of the slides have time challenges for you to take on. These slides actually get harder as the game progresses, and they're interesting. This is gonna sound a bit weird, but this game actually has some pretty good graphics, I'd say. It looks really good, and some of the levels look outstanding, especially the Graveyard of Ships in the Flying Dutchman's Graveyard. Let's talk about the music. The music in this game has to probably be my favorite soundtrack from a video game ever. It's just so cartoonish and at the same time kind of dark when you reach some of the later areas. It's kind of like background music in the show, except it's not background music in the show, unlike True for Square. The music really fits into the area it's trying to describe, such as Kelp Forest and the Murmelair. And as well as the fact that if you've listened closely at some of the past videos, you would probably realize that I've been using this soundtrack a lot. I'm kind of the editor of this whole Mario Splash Adventures. They leave it up to me, and yeah. The music's fantastic though! Now, as a fantastic game like this, I would recommend it to anybody. They would be confused at first, but they would probably understand if they saw gameplay of it. And, surprisingly, this game has a sequel, kind of. The aforementioned sequel of Battle for Bikini Bottom is not really a sequel. You see, the company Heavy Iron created SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, and then they also were in permission of creating the video game for the official movie. The game of the movie, which I plan to review later, is also really, really good, because mainly the entire game was built on top of Battle for Bikini Bottom, just like how Majora's Mask was built on Ocarina of Time. And, well, they're both short. Majora's Mask is shorter than Ocarina of Time, and the movie game is shorter than Battle for Bikini Bottom, but they're still fantastic games. Overall, this game is fantastic. I highly recommend it to anyone that is a fan of open platformers or basically a giant fan of Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. The joy of exploring this game's many amazing environments is just, well, heartwarming, might I say. And collecting the joy of finding a new sock or a golden spatula just fills you with joy. Oh no, the review's over, and this is the last review I've had planned since the MPA Direct. That means I have to think of a new game that I have to review. Which game to review? Such a large library. What game have I played that I could review? Well, I guess I have made a very poor career choice.